Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second our podcast. This is your host Saad Khan, and this is episode 2, and we're going to be talking about the 3 levers of advertising. Now, every single person knows that advertising for their business is something that they can't ignore, and everyone's trying to get better at it. Everyone wants their ads to make more money, their ads to be more effective, and basically drive the bottom line for their business. So, how do we do that? Imagine if there was like a framework that you could follow right now and create a mental image which you can use to audit your ad right now when you're sitting here. I'm going to be presenting that exact same thing today. And those, my friend, are the 3 levers of advertising. So let's get right into it. Just a quick note, when I talk about 3 levels of advertising, this is in context to an online ad, such as a PPC ad on Facebook, Google, Amazon, Walmart, Pinterest, things like that. So we've got 3 levers. One of them is the creative. The creative is your video, audio, the captions you enter, the hashtags you enter, anything that the customer sees. The second lever is your offer, what you're offering in that ad. Let's say if you're selling staplers in your ad, so your offer would be for staplers, and they must have a price, they must have a rating, they must have a social proof score, like they must have, some reviews on the site that you are trying to take your consumers to, some kind of reviews, things like that that people can check. All of these things, I would consider them to fall under the umbrella of the offer. And the third one is targeting. Now, imagine this. You have the right product, it's a blockbuster, you've got a really irresistible offer, but then you show it to the wrong people. And they're like, that doesn't even ring a bell because they're just simply not interested in that. Or maybe they're not interested because they're not at that stage where they should be interested. So targeting is the third lever of advertising. I would also add timing to this lever, but I'm going to keep the role of time in this episode minimal. Now, coming on to the creatives. What is a creative? What makes a creative good? What is the purpose of a creative? And how to tell if your creatives are at their optimum state or there's something you can absolutely do to improve them right now. So, you've got to ask yourself, are you using images? If you are using images, are they professionally edited? Okay. Do they have a clear message? Is your creative a scroll stopper? Does a person who's scrolling through his feed on social media, if he sees your ad, is it something that will capture his attention? And not capture his attention in such a way that you have a pretty photo up there that he's going to look at and he's going to be like, oh yeah, definitely a really nice photo. I wonder where he got that from. We don't want that kind of attention. The attention we want is that when he sees the creative, it evokes interest in that product or any offer, anything you have, the message. It invokes interest in the message of the ad itself. So that's what creatives usually do. The main job of creatives is to attract, is to hook you in there. Now, if you're running a YouTube ad, you're going to be having thumbnails. If you're running a Facebook ad, there's a preview thumbnail. So what do you do in those cases? You've got to make sure that all of these things, there's no stone left unturned. Make sure you're able to optimize each and every single thing, because when you're running ads, you're going to be trying your damn hardest to make it your money's worth. And I can absolutely empathize with how much effort it takes. So one of the best ways to improve ad creatives is through A/B testing, because Any advertisement or any person who thinks, oh, this image is good, let me just post it up on social media ad and oh, it will definitely work, is not a seasoned advertiser. I would rather say he's a novice, and perhaps what he could have done better is that made multiple versions of that same ad, maybe made 3 or 4 versions with one version he didn't necessarily like, but he still tested that anyway. And more often than not, you'll find that you'll get results that are not what you expect. When we're talking about creatives, there's like 2 or 3 types. One of them is a static image, one of them would be a video, and one of them would be a carousel, an image carousel, where you would be, you know, showcasing your product and your offer in detail. So, which one should you use and why and when? If you're going to be delivering a message, a purpose-driven message, to make a statement in your ad and basically attract the attention of the person who's scrolling through your social media feed to your ad and force him to read the caption, static images, which are, when they're well designed, do the job perfectly. Now, if you're going to be talking about videos, videos are excellent tools. Like they're so versatile, you can use them to literally convince a person on the spot to buy a product. Like it's a really powerful medium. And how do you make ad creatives, video ads work? Well, if you're a beginner, sorry to break it to you, but it's going to take a lot of trial and error. There's so many elements, but I'll be going over them in detail in next episodes because right now we're just rapid firing through many points of these 3 levers. So now let's move on to the second lever, which is our offer. They say that an offer makes or breaks an ad. And I'll show it to you why. Because an offer isn't just your product's image, its price, and its reviews. It's how you position it, it's how you talk about it, it's how you present it. Are you going to present it in a way that it appeals attention? Are you going to present it in a way that it generates the feeling of scarcity and urgency? These 2 triggers, which are really powerful, are you able to invoke them in your customer? So your offer should be able to do that. Meanwhile, there's lots of mini levers under the offer umbrella that kind of like, encapsulate what makes a good ad and essentially a good offer. So remember that a good offer is paramount and you can't afford to go wrong with that. So how do you make an offer better? Just like I discussed a couple of minutes ago, you've got to invoke scarcity, urgency, and then a third one. You've got to improve guarantees. You've got to include guarantees because people love guarantees. People love free shipping. People love a buy one get one free discount. I know it's common advertising tactics, but they do work because ki- because here's the thing. Now, this is a message to my advertising friends who kind of overthink everything, especially when they're novices. They tend to do that often. Is that when you're creating an ad, it's not your job to gauge whether, oh, this ad is going to be a blockbuster or this ad is going to be a hit. And okay, so I've got these 5 creatives and I'm going to only pick 3 of them because I like 3 of them and I'm just going to leave out the other 2. Never make that mistake. Never assume anything in ads because, quite frankly, you don't know anything. If you could read minds, then why run ads? So how do you, there's other methods to make an offer stronger, such as loss aversion, FOMO, and social proof. So you can induce FOMO in a person by saying, okay, these spots are limited, the stock is limited. Okay, this is the a single article that I'm going to be rolling out, and this is an exclusive edition. Get that before it runs out of stock. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get it. So if you introduce exclusivity into your offer, that's going to induce FOMO in the customer's mind. Now, here comes the most important lever when it comes to offers: pricing. Unless if you're selling something that you can't really put a price label on and call it a day, for example, some things that are not commodities, like I would say, let's say you're selling a course, you get to decide how much you value it at. You're selling something along the lines of info products. You get to decide how important those things are. Or maybe you're trying to sell a consultation service. You get to decide what price to set on that. If you're doing that, you're going to be having a different pricing strategy than the person who's selling essentially a commodity, but he's branding it in his own way. Let's say if you're starting a clothing brand, uh, yeah, there's the base price of the apparel itself. But if you are good at advertising, you can also set an anchor and associate that with luxury products so that the price anchor is pretty high. So the customer thinks, yes, this is something that I would definitely wear to a real hotshot wedding or something like that. Now, if you come to e-commerce, what makes a good offer in e-commerce? A good offer in e-commerce is something that is kind of balanced because at the end of the day, if you want to win in e-commerce and you want to be consistent, you've you've got to let your product do the talking. I mean, your offer can get your foot in the door, but if you want success in that product that you're selling, it's not going to be the offer. Yeah, sure, the offer might get you in the door, get you that first sale, but the repeat sales are only going to come after once they like your product. So, for e-commerce ads, I would say either include storytelling to include a really unique perspective to your product, or just be balanced in terms of price, really max out on the value compared to your competitors, offer bundles, offer a couple of bundles together, maybe a couple of variations together. If you have let's say if you're a kitchen utensil brand that's selling hot pots online, so you might want to throw in a couple of other cookware in there. So, you know, the offer is more appealing. So utilize bundles, A/B test offers, just like you A/B test creatives. Remember this, every single variable in ads can be A/B tested. If you think it can't be A/B tested, there's one person who's already doing that. So now we come to the targeting. This is pretty important because I have a personal story about this. I used to work for a uh, workwear brand, um, and they were selling workwear shirts, apparel for companies. Companies would come to them, place their orders with their logos, and then they would prepare and send those workwear clothes to the company a few weeks later. So when I got an opportunity to get on their ad account, and I was seeing that despite their good offers, like they were pretty good in price to performance ratio, like the price to value ratio, it was pretty good. But there was one thing. Their offer, for some reason, had a very horrible click-through rate and a very horrible conversion rate. I was kind of concerned that, okay, these guys, they're using other channels and they're getting good conversions. Why is it that they're using social media platform they're using right now, such as Facebook, and they're not getting any conversions? So I did a little bit of digging and I found out that half of their money that was spent, half of their ad spend was showing ads to people in the country which they were not even selling the product in. For instance, let's say they were that brand was doing its business in Germany, but suddenly there were people from Brazil, people from Africa, people from South Asia who were looking at their ads. And when I open up the analytics, more than 50% of the ad spend was spent towards showing ads to those people. As soon as we fix that issue, we've got a really drastic change. We almost doubled our ROI, return on investment, uh, when we fix that issue. So targeting is something that has a that holds a special space in my heart because if you are an ad man in this modern day and age, one of the strongest levers you have to make things work without having the client to do the hard work and, improve their product because I have been an ad manager myself for like 2.5 years, and this is usually the quickest fix you can do to give a relief to your client's pocket, basically, and bump up their profits. So now, when we come to targeting, there's three types of audiences mainly: warm audiences, cold audiences, or audiences that you show an ad over and over and again to. In other words, retargeting audiences. So when we come to cold audiences, they don't know you. They're going to be seeing your ad for the first time. Most probably, they're just going to pass by that ad. That's just how things are. Because according to a study by one of top advertising men on the internet, I can't really recall the name, but it was observed that customers would normally look at an ad in the feed for like 12, 13 times or 11, 10 times before they even consider checking out what's there. Well, obviously, that's not true for everything. Uh, it was a study conducted across a wide range of accounts. It was a study conducted across a multiple accounts in which there were different ads running. The ad agencies that were running those ads were different. So it's just like an average number right here. So if you have a good creative, if you have a good creative, you could probably reduce that number down to from 11 to 10 to 7 to 8. And that is a very big win. That literally means you just improve your results by 40% by pulling only one lever. Let's say if you even improve your offer, you add scarcity, you add guarantees, you add urgency, and then you add exclusivity so that they know, yeah, this is the exclusive club. When I'm a part of this, when I buy this product, I'm going to be part of something special, something that not everyone can get their hands on. And believe me, people love that feeling of exclusivity. When it comes to cold audiences, the best strategy is to, well, clearly communicate when if it's a static video, if it's a static image, clearly communicate what you're selling in like the first part of the ad. You don't want to waste their time. They're just going to give it a glance. If you make them work too hard with their brains, if you make their brains work even a bit, they're just going to gloss over that. So step one, make sure that you put the offer right there. You don't want to be like, oh, check out our exclusive product, which has been liked by over 50,000 people and millions of people buying that. No. I mean, I can write an ad about this. I can write 50 creatives like this. And uh, even if a customer sees it, he wouldn't really know what it is about unless that image conveys, shows the product and shows the message and the offer pretty clearly. Now, if you're talking about video ads, so in the first 5 seconds of a video ad, you really need to get their attention because if you don't really get their attention, you're not going to be able to make them watch the video. When it comes to video ads, your goal is your end goal is to get them to convert. but your primary goal is to make them watch the other second, and then the other second, and then the other second until they've watched the whole video. So the first 5 seconds, their purpose is to make the viewer watch the next 5 seconds, and so on and so forth. And when you do that, when you're able to do that pretty successfully, what happens is you're able to not only present the offer in front of them, but also make a good case of why your product is superior, why your product can help them, why your product is a solution to their problems that they've been looking for, why their product is the remedy that they've been silently wishing for. So definitely the first, and I think the most important objective when it comes to video ads is you have to convince the reader or the viewer to watch the next 5 seconds, then the next 5 seconds. So that was the cold audiences. Warm audiences, they already know what you sell, they already know what this is about. Warm audiences are majority. When you run ad campaigns for long enough periods of time, you will see that a majority of your part of your ads is your warm leads, your warm audience. They already know what you sell and what you offer, but they're not quite there. They're not quite ready to buy the product yet. And as a marketing expert said, that marketing isn't the art of making people buy something as soon as they see your ad. It's about making sure that you're the first person. It's about making sure that you're the first person. You're the first brand that comes to their mind when they feel the need for that thing. I'm going to give you guys a pretty good example, a pretty simple example. Let's say you want to have a good time with your friends and family. You guys have a feast arranged at home. Now, when it comes to drinks, there's a couple of drinks that come into your mind. I mean, right now, I can imagine a couple in my mind. I'm just not going to say that. It's a secret. But notice when I said the word a couple of drinks to enjoy the feast with, subconsciously, there were a couple of drinks that just popped up right in my brain. You know, the product, the brand, the beverage that made it into your brain has succeeded. Because even though they might be advertising that product for like 6 months ago, but you still remember it, and you're now finally going to give them a shot. So I would like to phrase this term as delayed conversion. Advertising isn't just about direct conversions, it's also about delayed conversions. That's where one of the metrics of advertising called customer lifetime value comes into play. That is one of my favorite numbers to talk about. I'll definitely be making a definitive guide on that. Now comes the retargeting audiences. Retargeting audiences probably have the best conversion rate of all of these audience types because they've already bought your products or they've already completed an action, depending on, let's say, the experience of your products, assuming that it's a good one. Now they're looking to buy again. So this audience type is the best audience type. I would say this is the audience type that would give you the most ROI on your product, on your ad spend, on your ad money. So never neglect on that. Just because they have bought something once doesn't mean that their needs are met. Never assume that their needs are met. Show them the ad again. Show them new offers. Show them even more irresistible offers. In fact, even you might even want to run an exclusive offers for returning customers. So there's that. So when we bring it all together, let's wrap up this episode today. So when we bring it all together, what happens? Uh, let's assume a scenario in which one of these three levers is weak. Let's say we have a good creative, we have a good offer. Let's say the targeting is not up to par. So what will happen in that situation? The most likely outcome will be that the ad doesn't perform well, the click-through rate won't be that good, the conversion rate will also take a hit, but it will not take that big of a hit than the kind of click-through rate when you compare that to an ad that has all three of these elements correct and combined. Let's say the second element, assuming the other two are at their peak form, let's say that our next defective trait is the offer. If you have a good creative and you have a really bad offer, and then you have good targeting, it kind of still sells. It still kind of sells. You know what they say? You'll be able to make the sale in the first try. At least that's what I've observed with years of working with accounts, ad accounts and brands, that what happens is typically it doesn't affect them immediately, but when the offer is bad and the creative is top notch, there's impulsive buying. We see a phenomena and a trend of impulsive buying. So that's a trend that that you will notice. And you will also notice that the returning customers in that pretext of the ad would result in very few returning customers. And at the end of the day, let me tell you something. Advertising is about getting your product out into the world, introducing it to other people. You and as PPC managers, I've seen most of my clients make a bulk of their profits through repeat purchases. So, let's assume the third scenario in which the creative is pretty bad, the offer is in tip-top shape, the targeting is pretty good. Assuming that people do go through the pain of going through your ad, they might not even understand what you're selling. And that is something that is absolutely demoralizing. It will absolutely crush your results because you have people on social media, they don't have that much attention to spare to a random ad on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or maybe even Amazon. They don't have that much attention to give to one ad. If they give it a glance, if they feel like reading it, they will. If they're not attracted to it, they will just gloss over, and that is the end of your story. Your ad will join hundreds of those ads who've been left alone and abandoned, and honestly, that is a very big time suck and a money suck as well. So, this was a quick rundown on how ads work. Next time, if you're going to be looking at an ad, make sure that you look at the three levers that I just mentioned, the creative, the offer, and the targeting. And then look what the ad does right and where the ad could improve itself. And be brutally honest with yourself. And also, don't forget the fact that you're here to run ads. You're here to test them. You're here to see which one is the most profitable. So please don't make mistakes of, okay, I like this ad. This ad is fancy. Oh, when I'm going to show it to my buddies, it's going to be looking fancy and all that stuff. Oh boy, I'm going to get lots of praises. What you want is sales to come into your store, not praises from people who don't even care about your product. So that's the end of this episode. I will be expanding upon these topics in detail in the upcoming episodes. So stay tuned. And I personally have had a lot of fun recording this episode, especially because I'm actually quite passionate about advertising. So I'll see you in the next one. And there's that. Sayonara, goodbye, and have a great weekend. I'll see you in the next episode and have a great one. Thank you.